Good morning, Peacemakers. It is the 21st day of November. Thanksgiving's next week, and the year's almost up. Wanted to share with you something uh, that that sometimes just comes up in conversation and with people in our Bible study or whatever, and that is the idea of unanswered prayer. Truth is, it's kind of a misnomer to say unanswered prayer. It might be better to say ungranted prayer. It's been said that God answers prayer in three ways. He says yes, he says no, and he says wait, but never maybe. Uh, but in a sense, God sometimes turns a deaf ear to our prayers. And in essence, that means no, but not in the same sense where he's says no to what we ask and yes to something that is better for us, that he knows is better for us. Sometimes God just turns a deaf ear. And the circumstance on which God would do that uh, uh, can be found in this verse of scripture. In Deuteronomy 1, verse 45, Joshua is speaking to the children of Israel, and he says, "But ye have returned and cried unto the Lord, but he has not hearkened unto your voice, nor give ear unto you." And the reason that was the case was that Joshua had told the children of Israel what they were to do, and they decided they wanted to do what they wanted to anyway, and disobeyed God and ignored God's command. Well, if you do that, you can expect that your prayer's not going to be heard, not going to be answered. Not that God is deaf, but he's not going to let you just snub his commands to you, his lordship of you, and you just snub that. But you want to go to God for whatever you need. Well, David put it this way in Psalms. He said, "If I regard iniquity in my heart, the Lord will not hear me. If I know it's there, if I know that I've been disobedient, I need not expect God's going to say yes. I need not expect that God's going to hear my prayer." James tells us that you have not because you ask not, and that sometimes you don't have because you do ask, but you ask amiss. And I think that points back to what we're talking about, that we ask amiss because we ask unprepared to be obedient to the Lord, or we haven't been obedient. We're unprepared to actually go before him and to take care of things. One of the things I do in my prayer list every morning when I have my quiet time is that I top my list, the very top of my list before there's the single name is the word confession. And I do that because even Jesus taught us in the model prayer to ask forgiveness, to take care of that. After we acknowledge who we're talking to ask forgiveness and take care of that before we start making petitions. We need not expect God to answer a prayer if our hearts are distant from him, if they're turned away from him, if we're not seeking the will of God, but we're seeking what we want from him without being obedient to him. We need not expect that he's going to answer us. It doesn't mean he doesn't love us. In fact, it means just the opposite. He wants what's best for us and loves us enough to sometimes shield us from the things that we ask for that are not going to be to our betterment, not going to be for good to them that love God, to them that are called according to his purpose. But God is not going to he's not going to open up the blessings of heaven, the windows of heaven, to a person who has purposely or allowed himself to become distant from God because of his own selfish or fleshly decisions. If you want to be sure that your prayers are not among those unanswered or ungranted prayers, then you need to make sure, first of all, that your heart is right before Him, and that you're seeking His will. Asking, it shall be given to you. Seeking, ye shall find. Knocking, it shall be opened unto you. If we ask and we seek and we knock, seeking God, seeking His will, then God's always willing to do His will, always willing to do His will. But we need to be prepared in our hearts to actually make those petitions. I want to ask you to remember Lisa Hudson, my sister-in-law. Unfortunately, she's going to have to go through yet another round of chemo because her numbers are just not where they need to be so that she can do the bone marrow. And that's been very taxing on her spirit. But she's been strong. She keeps trusting the Lord that He's going to do what's best for her, and we know that He will. So remember her, and remember Matt. Remember Kayla and Jonathan. Just remember their family, if you will. Also, the young girl that I have mentioned before, Peyton Smith, the one from Colorado. She has arrived at St. Jude's in Memphis a couple of days ago. She was supposed to meet yesterday with her medical team, the team that's going to be working on trying to help her with this tumor that appears to be centered in her brain, right around the place where the spinal cord in the brain attach. And we ask you to continue to pray for her. She will begin right away, maybe even today. She will begin her treatments for the next 6 weeks. So pray that what they do, that what they attempt to do for her will actually work and shrink that tumor and save this baby's life. If that's the Lord's will, just pray for that. There are others we could ask prayer for, but please keep these in mind. And have a wonderful Thanksgiving. God bless you.